Hello and good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's unbelievably news-breaking episode of Primetime Gaming with Mr. Boomstick and Friends. I'm your host, Mr. Boomstick XL, and it is very rare, and I've said this multiple times because I've been lucky enough to be able to have a show going live hours or minutes before breaking news happens. And yes, we have breaking news to discuss, and along with, of course, the advertised topics that include Halo being compared to God of War, Star Wars Squadrons not having any microtransactions confirmed, Resident Evil 8 with a big question mark, and so many other topics that we're going to get to. But let's get into the introductions. And of course, I'm going to start with an oldie, but a goodie. You know him as the mouth of the South when it comes to YouTube and Twitter. He hasn't been on the show in well over a year. And of course, I have to give a big round of applause and a welcoming big hug to my very good friend, Titan Drago. Welcome back to the program, dude.
I'm hugging you from here, Boom. I'm hugging
Excellent.
you.
Yes, air hugs 6 feet apart, please.
Yeah, right. Can't do it for real. All right. So yeah, man, thanks for having me on. Yeah, it's good to be back, man. I've been away for a year. It's crazy. I'm ready to go. It's crazy because every time I start something new in my life, something crazy happens, right? I joined the Navy 3 days before I go in, 9/11 happens and we go to war. Like literally every time I become a teacher, COVID-19 happens. I come back to Boom's podcast and Mixer goes down. It happens all the time.
Well, listen, it is great to have you back, and this is certainly we got to make sure that your next time on the program isn't a year from now. Will be much sooner than later. But of course, continuing on with the guest, you know him as having one of the coolest pictures when it comes to avatars. You know him as Cotton. What's going on, dude? Welcome back to the show.
What's going on, Boom? Oh man, just got off work. Ready to talk some games. Thanks for having me back on the show.
Well, yeah, listen, it's always great to have you back on. You always bring your A game. I'm expecting nothing less than a superior performance tonight, as well as, of course, coming up in the rear, someone that I like to call our resident Cape Crusader, someone that is one of the grounded members who started this podcast almost a year ago. Please welcome Cybernox.
What's going on, Boom? Glad to be here. Sorry, my dogs are barking. I don't know if you guys can hear that. Yeah, glad to be here. It's Monday. You know, I love being here with you guys. And Cotton, I'm gonna need you to take a shot of Monster or Red Bull because you just mellowed down when Boom was full of energy. Let's go, baby. It's gonna be a great show. Right. Great to have Titan back, you know, so we're gonna have some fun topics. I'm just ready to talk some games with you guys. Let's go.
I recommend G Fuel for that too.
G Fuel will definitely get you.
He's like, I just got out of work. Come on, what are you doing?
I'm gonna go get some. Yo, it's a long.
Well, listen, obviously, we are short 2 members that will be here momentarily. Gaming Forte is on his way home from work, and of course, Tempest's son is handling daddy duty, and he will be here momentarily. But you know what? While we wait for them, while we just sit here on our hands, we still have to run a show, and we're going to talk about the breaking news. Now, obviously, what took the entire interwebs, including the gaming populace, by storm was Microsoft officially closes Mixer down after 4 years in the market. And you know what? I'm going to be honest with you, folks. This is something that I think is shocking because it happened, though I don't think that gamers as a whole are shocked. Unfortunately, this was an investment that did not pan out for Microsoft. It was a service that was shrouded in controversy. It was shrouded in, of course, not the best service of services. And it was always in the shadow of Twitch. And early, I believe it was this year, and late last year, Microsoft, I guess you can call it throwing a Hail Mary, signed some pretty big names to leave Twitch to come on over to Mixer in the hopes that it would drive views and, of course, engagement. And someone like Ninja, obviously when he saw a tremendous drop off on his numbers regarding people watching him live, though he did receive quite the hefty paycheck right along with everyone who left Twitch to sign on with Mixer for those lots of zeros. But you know what? Before I get into the panel's opinions, I want to read the actual press release from Microsoft regarding the whole incident. It says this: from the beginning, Mixer has been about creating the most engaging and interactive live streaming experience. We set out to help streamers build great communities based on deep engagement with their audiences. You all have been amazing throughout this journey. The Mixer community has set the industry's bar for welcoming and inclusive communities, and you should be proud of what you have accomplished. Ultimately, the success of partners and streamers on Mixer is dependent on our ability to scale the platform for them as quickly, as broadly as possible. It became clear that the time needed to grow our own live streaming community to scale was out of measure with the vision and experiences that Microsoft and Xbox want to deliver for gamers now. So we've decided to close the operation side of Mixer and help the community transition to a new platform. And according to the article that I pulled from Windows Central that was written by Matt Brown, he says this: Microsoft is teaming up with Facebook Gaming to provide a bridge and direct partnership for all of Mixer's existing partners streamers. As far as we know, it's only Facebook Gaming offering direct avenue for this partnership as we speak, or right now. Microsoft expanded, detailing how it intends to migrate the Mixer community and offer a new home for streamers who choose to jump across to Facebook instead of other platforms. Now, Titan Drago, we were talking pregame, and you, my friend, not only are going to not surprise us with your commentation, I should say, but you have a lot to get off your chest regarding it. So why don't you take it away and discuss Mixer being closed only after 4 years?
Yeah, this is probably my biggest rant I'm going to have the whole show. This is it's the biggest breaking news of forever, right? It's been a while since something like this has happened. And I'm going to preface this with I have basically like 3 phases, right? My first phase is hate. All right. I hate change. I hate everything Facebook. It killed MySpace, which I loved. And it seems like Facebook's getting hacked, or it's controversy is always surrounding it. It seems like, right?
Great point. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, and it sucks because Mixer for me was easy, right? Like, I'm all about the easy. It was built into the Xbox, few button clicks away, and I was streaming, right? I don't know if you guys used it, but I loved how simple it is. And then boom, I'd have the VODs there whenever I wanted. And I recently just started using it with my buddy Whiskey Mike, who's in the chat right now. And we've been playing Call of Duty. Like, so much crazy stuff has been happening. I'm like, man, I got to record this. So I've been using Mixer. So that's going to be out the window. And then it's like phase 2 is like the appreciation side, right? It's like Xbox, they swung for the fences, right? Before they let go of it with the signing of Ninja and Shroud, right? Which are just 2 guys that I feel are just like good at games. And a lot of people see that as a good thing, but here I'm going to use that actually negatively here. And what I mean by that is like Shroud he's got to be one of the worst and boring personalities. Like, I mean, I may be out of the box, but when I watch something, I require to be entertained, right? Like, Shroud has never done that for me. Ninja did it very little, but Shroud never did it. If it was me, I would have signed Dr. Disrespect, but that's just me.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys like that? Like,
he's the guy.
That would have been my number one go-to. And I know they didn't even contact him because he was always talking about how, hey, you give me that ninja deal and I'll do it too. So that's just a little disheartening.
Was a clip that you see that he.
Oh, you're breaking up again, Cyber.
Okay, I'll be back.
Grr.
Yeah.
You need to come back with that. Hopefully when your internet kicks its butt into gear. Anyways, my phase 3 is like the optimism, right? And this is like, it's like, it's not only moving on and getting their feet out of like the so-called, mud that was Mixer, because even with like COVID-19 going on, Mixer showed like, I think it was like a 0.2% growth or something. It's just not going anywhere.
Yeah,
and
it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. Yeah.
Yeah, I think one of these articles you linked like actually had that. I believe it was 0.2%. So that's bad. That's like, and that's just the sign right there that's saying, it's like screaming like it's time to move on, right? And that's what they're doing with this. It also helps, with the boosting the xCloud abilities, right? Like because this is like more about competing against Stadia. We don't know the details just yet, because it broke today, but I'm sure as time goes on, we're going to learn more about it. And, they're all about that being one click away from watching. And now I'm playing, so that's what they're all about. They're trying to meet Stadia with that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm sure Xbox has a couple of cards up their sleeve with this move, but we'll find out in time. Right, Boom?
Yeah, I mean, listen.
You guys hear me or no? Okay.
Yes. We actually hear you. You sound perfect. You know what? It's funny. You mentioned Titan regarding Project xCloud, and I actually have the press release talking about Project xCloud. And you know what? After I read it, I'll jump right into Cybernox and get your opinion on this. And here was the actual response to bringing Project xCloud to Facebook gaming. But you know what? Before I actually read that, I have to thank somebody in the chat. First of all, Miss Lisa 10 drops an outstanding and very generous $20 super sticker that says you are amazing. And actually, I'd like to say to you, Miss Lisa, you are amazing for not only being here, but showing this outrageous generosity. Thank you so much for listening to the show. And of course, dropping that outstanding $20 super chat. But here is the press release. And it says this: key to the vision is our Project xCloud technology, which we see delivering games to all kinds of screens and windows in your life, including those on Facebook. Gaming is already a part of our social fabric, and Project xCloud can take you from discussing a new game, whether it's a funny in-game moment posted by a friend, an ad, or an ongoing stream, to directly for you playing it. In the future, through the power of the Xbox Live and Project xCloud, we see there being just one click between I'm watching and then I'm playing. Now, when you hear that, this makes a lot of sense. And so I want to get your particular opinions on this, Cybernox. What do you think about this?
It's unfortunately
you're breaking up again.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
You know what, Cotton? Why don't you while I think he's going to probably have to reset his computer or his router because he's been breaking up since we before we went live. Cotton, why don't you take it from here regarding Project xCloud? Do you feel it is going to be super important for Microsoft and the Facebook team up to incorporate Project xCloud?
Yeah, I think that'd be huge. That'd be a game changer for them to have the one click from watching someone play Halo, and then you just, maybe it's a whatever, an ad or whatever that wants you to play, lets you play the game right there off of xCloud through Facebook. Like, I haven't even thought about that possibility. Like, I know I've talked about there being xCloud app and the Game Pass app on like Samsung TVs and your tablet or whatever, but even the fact that you could have it right on your web browser through something like Facebook and just be watching somebody play a game and like, oh, it's on, it's on xCloud, it's on Game Pass, I want to try that out. And then just
I'll be the first to tell you, I'm
third time's the charm, or no?
Yes, so far so good.
I'll be the first to tell you.
So continue, Cotton.
Yeah, no, I think that'd be huge. I think that'd be actually a big game changer. It would combat against Stadia, and then you'd have the streaming. I mean, Facebook, whether you like it or not, it's massive. People of all ages use it, so it's going to get advertising out there to grandparents for their grandkids. Like it's easier for me to get in touch with my grandparents on Facebook than it is to call them. Surprisingly, it's just a broad range of people on there, and they know how to get ads in your face. I think it's like every 3 posts is advertisement. So if they really hammer it down and they get out all I don't know, they just take out all the speed bumps of making it possible to have it that easy from watching someone to playing a game, whether they offer free trials with it or how it works is interesting. I mean, I think it would definitely be huge for them to have it work like that.
Yeah, that's the whole goal. But I'll be honest. I'll be the first one to tell you, I'm not all into streaming. I'm not on the whole streaming side of things. But today is the first time I've ever even heard of Facebook gaming.
Really?
I've never even gone on. I don't even know what it looks like.
Yeah, they launched Facebook gaming maybe 6 or 7 months ago. I mean, it could be longer. And I had actually some people reach out to me and said, you should try and stream there because you do a lot of live content regarding the podcast. And I mean, listen, it's Facebook. I know that it does get some traction, but you hardly ever hear about Facebook gaming. But I'm assuming that with Microsoft partnering up, with them, I would like to believe that this is going to work for both companies. Both companies are going to get advantages that the other one. Basically, they're gonna ride each other's coattails to the bank. And I mean, I don't know who's going to be the bigger winner. I don't know whether it's Facebook or it's Microsoft, but if they can get Project xCloud on there running seamlessly, where you go from literally a button press from playing to watching and watching to playing, that's going to be a big deal.
Huge.
And that's directly competing with, with who they said they were planning on competing with, this whole next
Twitch.
generation.
Yes, and that's Twitch. Who I mean, listen, Twitch is big. Twitch is the dominant force. It's the big shark in the tank right now, and it's going to be interesting to see where they go. But Cybernox, let's get your opinion on this. For you personally, how shocked were you that this happened, and do you think that this is going to be beneficial for both Microsoft and Facebook?
So I was shocked in the sense that it happened as early as it did. There's been so many reports. I thought it was going to happen, but maybe within the next year or two, especially with them just signing Shroud and Ninja within the past year, right? Since it happened.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So
it wasn't that long.
It wasn't that long. So I personally thought that it was going to stay active for a little while longer. Now, the numbers, there were so many reports early in the year about the numbers, how everyone else was increasing and nothing was happening on Mixer. So that was the first sign that, hey, there's something going on there. It is a shame because I think the ease of Mixer, I mean, everyone is getting into gaming now, especially all these, other big corporations and integrating gaming into their social platform one way or another. So I think the ease of it is gonna come. It's gonna come naturally to all the gamers and how to access that and how to stream your content. Yeah. But I think Mixer was the first one that actually it was integrated in the Xbox. You literally just put it in, you press the button and you were live. It's a shame, I thought Mixer was an okay platform. They had a lot of good ideas, but the audience just wasn't there, man. The numbers don't lie. Statistically, you looked at how everyone else was climbing, and Mixer was either staying steady or barely making a move in the needle. I also when Ninja and Shroud got signed, I remember mentioning here on the podcast that sometimes because you sign a big name like that, it's not going to equal viewers.
Yeah, that's the truth.
One thing that they had to do on Twitch is they worked for those viewers, right? Kind of like what Titan said. Those guys, they're known just literally for their gameplay. They're not entertainers, right? They're great at what they do, but entertaining wise, they're okay. So it's like they got paid they came here, and I think I mentioned this on the podcast before. They don't have to do anything. They already got the money, you know?
Right.
They got the money. They don't have to put that extra effort that they had to do when they were building up their brand, building up their audiences, when they were getting, how much they were getting paid on Twitch based on subscribers, et cetera, et cetera. You can add on all ad revenues, everything like that, which doesn't exist on Mixer. And I think that might have hurt it too. I don't think there's still ad revenue on Mixer. So there's so many little things that were happening that wasn't going on Mixer's favor. And I think just the controversy that's been going on this week with some Mixer streamers also was just like, you know what? That's the last straw. And I think they just pulled the plug. It's unfortunate because a lot of competition also, makes companies work harder and gives us a better services. But I guess it was just Mixer's time. They probably didn't see it more beneficial than it was than what it was.
I wonder how much of a drain on the bank account Mixer actually was to Microsoft, man.
That's a great point.
Yeah, if it wasn't, then why would they drop it, right? This must be bad.
And that's the thing I don't understand for them with ad revenue. Like, I don't understand that. There's no ad revenue. Like, there's no ads that play on Mixer, I believe, to this day. So it's like, where were they getting their money?
Yeah.
That's what, dude. I put it this way. Look, I think it's safe to say that we all saw this coming. This is not a big surprise. This is, and something. I think to your point, I think Mixer was bleeding money, and I think that this is an opportunity for Microsoft to get in bed with one of the biggest. I mean, there's been a lot of controversy coming out of Facebook recently, so I don't know if this is the greatest move. But with that said, there's a lot that could happen out of this. Yeah. And Facebook, even if, like, for instance, I don't really use Facebook. I don't. I stream to Facebook. I put all of my content on there. I don't get a lot of views from Facebook, and I have a lot of friends. But at least for my small channel, I don't use it as much. But there are a lot of people that live and die with Facebook, and Microsoft may see this as a way to get in touch with an older generation regarding, like, again, remember, the Series S is coming. And from what we're hearing, it's going to be $200 and be the size of a Roku. That's what we're hearing, right? So if that happens and they start advertising that on Facebook, the grandmas and the grandpas and the aunts and uncles and the mid-40 guys and gals who may not have been into gaming, wait a second, I can get this for $200 and I can get all these games with this Xbox game. What is this Game Pass thing? It's like Netflix. Holy cow, $15 a month, sign me up.
Boom, let me blow your mind for a second. Let me blow everyone's mind for 1 second. All right, so we all know about the pricing of the next generation consoles, and if they take a loss, where can they make that money up at? Well, if Mixer was a negative on the old bank account, this gives them even more room to even push that, gives them more leeway to bring that next generation console price down.
Yes.
And where's that money come from? Well, we don't have to support Mixer anymore. It's like nothing ever happened. Right?
No, I mean,
that's crazy.
That's a great. Listen, if you're pouring water into a bottomless tank, it's never going to fill up. Right. Yep. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, Mixer with the percentage 0.02% in viewership, that's abysmal. Any business would have cut and run. I'm glad Microsoft did it now. But you know what? Let's get Tempest Sun in, because I don't want to spend too much time on this topic, because this is a game talk or a talk show for games. And we have a lot of games to get into, especially with the granddaddy of all games, and that is Halo after this. So, Tempest Sun, what's up, dude? First of all, welcome to the show. Thanks for taking the time to hang out. And what are your thoughts on Mixer closing and then Microsoft partnering with, of course, Facebook?
Thank you, Boom, for having me, dude, and good to be here. Just quick note, if the place gets chaotic, I might have to cut the mic. I don't want to blow all y'all's eardrums out, but
yeah, it's okay.
I already did that with my bad mic, but it's
okay. All right, good. I won't feel so bad then. Bottom line is keep it short and sweet. If this was keeping them from spending more money on what's important, being games and studio acquisitions, then I'm glad it's gone. I'll be honest with you. I feel bad for the people that were trying to make their career there, their streaming career. You know, it is what it is. I mean, as far as I know, they did the one thing everybody said they should do. Like everybody before they got Ninja was like, man, they need to get some of these. They need to lock them down.
Yeah, I was one of those people. I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I was one of those people.
Yeah, not only did they get Ninja, they got Shroud. And you know, say what you will, they had some of the biggest numbers on Twitch. It just didn't translate.
No.
It didn't. And I don't. Whatever it is that was keeping people from watching it, I don't know what it is. I don't think
it's a great service. I just don't think it was the same quality when it comes again versus its biggest competitor in Twitch. I think that was I think what a lot of people took away from Mixer is that it seemed very subpar on many levels compared to Twitch. And really, Twitch was the party place, whereas Mixer was the place where kind of like oh, we didn't get invited to the party, but they're having a get together. Let's go hang out with them.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, they spent all that money, but if it's just not working, it's not working. And I think the best point made was by Cyber. There was no ads there, so how are they making money?
That's listen, great question. And you know what? We'll close down this particular topic because again, I really didn't want to spend more than half an hour, and that's what we're rolling into simply because there's a lot of games to get to. Obviously, you saw the advertising for the show, and we have a lot to discuss. So let's get right into it immediately. Now, let me just make sure I take my show notes so when I post them, I don't get yelled at in the YouTube chat.
Oh, by the way, real quick, I just want to say it's good to see Titan Drago back. I miss this man's voice.
Certainly is. Absolutely. It certainly is. Before we start, one of the most epic topics for tonight's show, I have to thank a couple of people. Echelon 7, The Darkness, drops a very generous $5 super chat, and he says this: I hope Xbox is the winner, the winning bidder for Bloober Team. They need a win and positive momentum. Well, listen, I got news for you. I'm working on a story. I don't know if they're going to be the winning bidder, but I have a good hunch that Bloober Team is joining Xbox Games Studios, and they're going to be that team that brings you the horror that we used to get from the games like Alan Wake. They're going to fill that need, and Bloober Team knows exactly what they're doing. And the medium has a potential based on what we've seen. Remember, folks, we haven't played it yet, but I can only go based on the trailer. The way that they're talking about this game, I have a really strong suspicion that the medium is going to become a major IP if Microsoft does, in fact, acquire them. And I think they're going to. And a very generous friend of the show, you know him as LMNOPO. He drops a very generous $5 super chat and says this: I use Mixer for co-streaming my games with my friends. Will we still be able to do this next gen? That is. I'm going to say this.
I answered him on the chat. You could do that on Twitch. It's called.
Oh, you can.
It's called squad streaming.
Okay.
But it's pretty much the same principle. You can co-stream it up to 4 people.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, hey, listen, at least you knew that because, listen, I don't stream. I know a lot of people have been asking me to do that. Streaming is just not my bag.
You should.
Yeah,
Didn't I take that from Mixer?
Oh, yeah. Mixer was the first one, I believe, to do that. And then they just implemented it on their site.
Yeah. I mean, listen, that's the best form of flattery is copying someone's shit. But you know what? Let's get into the big topic for tonight. And I think that if you are a fan of gaming, not again, an Xbox fan or a PlayStation fan or a Nintendo fan, if you're a fan of gaming, Master Chief means something to you, whether that be big or small. And if there's one franchise that Microsoft needs to carry the Xbox Series X into the future, it's 343's Halo Infinite. And since it was announced, we have only seen an opening to the world that 343 is crafting, and last year's E3 trailer called Discover Hope with the Master Chief. And though Halo Infinite's story, as we know, is antagonist, plot, time frame, have all been kept under very tight lock and key. But thanks to someone you may know, I don't know, he has a small show that only has 3,000 people every time he pops on the mic. We're talking about dealer gaming. He had some very interesting things to say regarding 343's next Master Chief installment on last week's RDX. And here is what Dealer had to say on the matter. Halo Infinite has something in common with God of War that we'll point out after it's revealed, that we've learned about recently that's really cool. Again, Halo Infinite apparently is a juggernaut. All the stuff you've seen has been in-engine, no BS, 60 FPS, and that's not even with the ray tracing turned on or anything else. I can't wait to see more in the game, and considering we'll be playing it sooner rather than later. Now, look, the question of the year, I think, is what the hell does Halo Infinite have in common with 2018's Game of the Year, God of War for the PlayStation 4? And according to the article that I posted on WCCF, an article that was posted by WCCF Tech, somebody on Reset Era Forums brought up the possibility that Infinite will have a single-shot campaign similar to God of War. And another noted Microsoft insider responded to this post. You know him as Clobriel. He responded simply, bingo, with an exclamation point. Now, what does one shot actually mean? Could Halo Infinite have a 25 to 30-hour campaign that allows the player to run around in the world and explore a la God of War? I don't know, but I'm going to tell you this. The question that I'm going to pose for the chat, the question that I'm going to pose for this amazing panel is quite simply this. I am unbelievably curious to know exactly what Halo Infinite has in common with God of War and what Clobriel's confirmation of bingo actually means. But this sounds like this is going to be a very different Halo. Are you personally okay with this? And we're going to start with Titan Drago, the man who knows how to rant it up. What are your thoughts on this, dude?
Hell yeah, I'm okay with it going a little different way. I haven't bought like the last 2 or 3 Halos because it was kind of getting stale to me, but that's just
me. Long in the tooth, you'd say?
Yeah, just for me. I mean, I understand a lot of people still liking it. I mean, that's what really got me on the Xbox in the first place was Halo. Halo 1, Halo 2, Halo 3, those were utterly fantastic games, but you know what the common denominator between all those 3 games were?
What's
little
that?
something called the developer.
Bungie.
Oh,
Yeah. So, I mean, I think this is really 343 step into. I think I'm kind of torn here because I'm a multiplayer gamer at heart, right? And I primarily I haven't even beat Call of Duty, the new Call of Duty yet, the Modern Warfare. I haven't beat the campaign yet, but I've got tons of hours in the multiplayer. Like, you know, I've got like almost 7. I think I'm up like 60 something wins now. But
wow. Nice.
But I mean, so it's. I'm torn because this is the one I feel like this Halo. I feel like I'm more hyped for the campaign.
Yeah,
which is really strange for me, especially like seeing like the possibilities of the open world, the open worldness to it, and all the hype and all the unknowns about that. We don't even know how it's gonna go. Like I think that just the unknowns, but how they've kept it. You know, how they kept this whole game behind lock and key. You know, they got literally a top secret SCI clearance on this dang game. And that in and of itself, I think, is building hype. And I think it's a good thing, you know, like the haters have said what they have to say. And that's in the past now. Like no one even cares about that now, right? It's been like so long. But I really feel like I think 343. They need to kill the campaign. If they destroy this campaign, then I think like this is so weird for me to say, Boom, and it hurts in a way. But I feel like if they destroy the campaign and do a really good job on the campaign, that the multiplayer won't be as, you know, won't have as of an impact if they don't really knock it out of the park, because the 343 really hasn't shown that they can do that yet. And I know Bungie were the masters of the, you know, of the of the multiplayer, and that's what got me into the game. That's what got me in the Xbox. That probably made me an Xbox fan to this day. So I don't know. So what do you think about it? Because
I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this right now. Okay. Halo's biggest problem is their antagonists for the last 2 games. The Prometheans are horrendous characters.
Oh.
They do not scare you. They are abysmal character. The development for the whole thing was a bore. Now, granted, Halo 4's single player, it was fantastic. And that was your first introduction to the Prometheans. But this Halo 5, I thought, listen, it took me, I beat Halo 5 just to say I beat it 3 years after it released. And I've beaten every Halo within the first 24 hours I've ever played. And as a matter of fact, again, one person I used to play those games with, my brother is in the chat. Neo Mental drops an outstanding and very generous brotherly love-like $10 super chat and says this in a typical brother fashion. Come on, old man, let's stream some games. So
there you go.
Listen, streaming is just not for me. I like sitting there in my old man ways and playing my single player games, and just, that's just the way it is. But you know what? I want to bring in Tempest's son to the conversation regarding Halo, because he may have to bounce out, because obviously he's got some stuff going on with his family, and that comes first. But he didn't want to miss today's show. So, Tempest, when you hear the words God of War being compared to Halo Infinite, it is a bit of a brain teaser. It is a bit of a shocker, or head scratcher, if you will. But I'm going to tell you this. I cannot disclose my personal source, but I have one. I don't have many. And I can tell you that I have at least one. That is correct. But from what I've heard, Halo Infinite is not only going to be there at the July event in the biggest way possible, Halo Infinite is going to make people love Halo again. And I am getting goosebumps just saying this, but you know what? We talked about antagonists, and there are 2 particular antagonists that must be in this game, and I hope that they don't disappoint. One, the Flood has to return in some way. Yeah. The Flood made the game scary. It gave a horror element to Halo. And when they removed the Flood, you remove that horror element. But we haven't been afraid to go up against an antagonist in a while. And who could fill that role? Who could be the Darth Vader of Halo? And that is, of course, Atriox from Halo Wars 2. And he is menacing, and he looks like he would, I hate to use the words, potentially bitch slap Master Chief. So, so what are your thoughts, Tempest?
No, you're absolutely right. I think the Flood needs to come back. It gave it some of that creepy flavor. I remember 2001. I was a lot younger then, but I just remember playing when you first get introduced to the Flood. Came out of nowhere, and that mission was so drastically different than anything else. It changed the whole tone of the game. It was fantastic. Just for gameplay reasons alone, I mean, it changes up the formula of how you play those games so much. So I'm down with that. And I actually just for the first time started playing Halo Wars 2 because I've heard about Atriox. And when I say just, I mean, it was this past weekend I got to play games finally a little bit. And that first cutscene, man, he makes an impression. Let me tell you what, his backstory is cool. So he's awesome. If he's in there, I'll be tickled pink, really. I mean, it sounds great. Now, as far as what's in common, everybody I think is going, and Clobriel said bingo, so I guess it has to be the single shot. I don't know if what are they going to do with the single shot? Are you going to be Morgan Freeman and just only ever see what's through his eyes the entire game, or is the camera going to pan back from his eyesight, if you will, and then show a cutscene, but it's only ever one shot? That can work, especially if what we're hearing is true about there being extra missions, side missions with other characters. Spartans. Yes. Mm-hmm. If that's the case, you can get more of that traditional flavor where they cut here, cut here, cut here. But if you really, really want to bounce back from Halo 5, you make one continuous shot where you're with the Chief the entire time, And I'd say that's how you make up for it, to be honest with you.
You know what? It's funny you should say that, because I never actually equated when you were talking about the one shot, meaning you're just going to use Master Chief. But I do think, I mean, we actually have heard if you remember a couple of months ago, there was that huge Reddit leak or insider leak where they talked about you actually using Atriox at some point. And there were all different types of Spartans. There were all different types of characters that you could use. But look, I'll put it to this way. I think when Halo was great, when Halo was in its heyday of greatness, you switched between Master Chief and you obviously used a little bit of the Arbiter.
The Arbiter.
Right? You used the Arbiter for a bit, but you know what? His story was so interesting and so compelling that you didn't care about using him. And you know what? If Microsoft and 343 want to quote unquote make Halo great again, they need to return to what made Halo great and exactly do what you said. The one shot using Master Chief, because what I like is the potential of using Master Chief through the whole game and then going back and playing these side missions, playing these side stories that could potentially intertwine with the one shot Master Chief story, seeing it from different perspectives. That would be cool.
Yeah. So there's that. There's the camera angle, or the continuous shot. The only other thing I can think of, and this isn't the only game that's done this. God of War, I think, picked up the formula from things like Tomb Raider.
Yes.
Which I think Tomb Raider is probably the biggest one that said, here's a big open hub world, and this is the main area, and then there's multiple side areas. I mean, it's not quite what God of War was, but God of War was kind of like that wide linear type thing. That's the only other thing I can think of is more exploration in your Halo game. I know
there's definitely going to be way more than that. Like, I think it's going to blow everything out of the water when it comes to exploration.
There should be, if they're crafting the entire Halo ring and with all the wildlife and stuff. I just thinking wildlife in your Halo game, that I know that sounds like simple, but like,
why not?
I have no idea. Yeah.
Why not?
I know why not. It's exciting because I have no idea what that feels like. All right, and if they're big enough, they're probably going to try to run you over, kill you. I mean, maybe there's going to be some guarding areas where you can get some valuable resources or something. I mean, it's a Halo ring, so I don't know if you're going to go into a cave and find like a tier 8 sword stuck in a treasure chest somewhere. But, maybe there's still something you can find in there that's useful to you.
I mean, you could potentially have downed ships that make up those caves rather than an actual cave where, you're not going to find the, Excalibur in there. But what you can do is you find down, I hate to use the word Promethean ships or down elite ships or
down
ships.
to new ship, new brand new enemy archetype, right?
Yes. Well, I mean,
$500 million screams brand new stuff to me.
I agree.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, that's true. Listen, I think bottom line is it's when these insiders say these kinds of things, they're being very like coy, like they don't want to say too much, but you can just feel the energy. I really honestly do think that we're going to get our minds absolutely blown.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, even the one developer was like, this was our E3 to own. Like, we were going to own E3. So that kind of confidence just doesn't come out of anywhere. At least I don't think so. So
real quick, Mad Jack in the chat, fool me twice, can't get fooled again. I completely agree with that, but 343 has not had $500 million to work on a previous project yet. I think we got to give them the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, not just that. It's the Slipspace engine. They made a new engine. And if you hear the head of the studio talking, they're like, this is what the team wanted. This is what the team needed, because they were unhappy with the tools that they had. So, I mean, if you have an entire studio unhappy with how they're able to make their game, and if that entire studio was really unhappy and they didn't have the right tools, then Halo 5 turned out pretty good, all things considered. Let's be honest. So,
maybe not even unhappy. Maybe just like they felt like they could do it. Like everything was done. Yeah. Well, everything that was, that could be used had already been done before, right?
Yeah. Oh, I've been talking long enough, so I'll shut up. But the one other thing I will say is something just recently with another game reared its ugly head, and this happened to Halo 5. no false marketing. If it looks like this game is 100% Chief, it better be 100% Chief.
Oh yeah.
Just
Yeah.
don't fool us.
We're
Don't.
gonna-
I like what you did there.
We
Yeah.
won't mention that live on the air because
Yeah.
people will be screaming bloody murder, and we want people to come back next Monday. So
Just saying, man.
hey, listen, I'm right there with you. We have to talk privately. I'm going to give you a call after the show because I am
Okay.
quite frankly pissed. But Cotton, let's bring you into the conversation now. Look, you can say God of War 2018, and for most people that are just either fanboys or haters of the game, there isn't really any negative things you can say. Now, I will challenge you on this. Anyone in the chat that has something negative to say regarding they didn't innovate, because they did. But when I hear the potential of a game of the year that I love to death, that I thought was absolutely flawless in many, many aspects, being compared to what we're going to get potentially as a launch game for the Series X this fall, that gets me excited. I'm interested to know what your thoughts on what Dealer had to say.
Yeah, I don't know. It's exciting. Halo's probably my all-time favorite franchise. It suckered me in from a young age back in 2001. With God of War, I mean, that was a masterpiece. A lot of people's game of the year. The set pieces were insane. You were right there in the middle of it. Like, I feel like that's what they're talking about with the one shot. Like, going from playing to cutscene to I'm playing right now. Like, just how quick and fast that is. I would love to see that in Halo. Like, that's one thing with Halo 5 some of the coolest scenes were just in these cutscene set pieces that were, it just took away from the experience, where you could totally intertwine that with the gameplay and maybe a little bit of RPG-ish elements to it, like the way you upgrade just your character and your weapons through God of War slowly by completing different tasks. I just imagine going on a little side quest, or even just the exploration, whether there's a side quest out there or not. That's one thing I loved about Combat Evolved and Halo 1. Like, on the first mission Halo, where you can go off and save the Marines over here to the right inside the base, or over where all those rocks are. Like, it's just, that game was ahead of its time as far as multiple routes and how you could accomplish the end goal. And I feel like they are going to take from that, and they're going to take notes. They're definitely not taking notes, if that makes any sense, on all the success that's around in the market right now. I can't wait to play this game, man. I'm beyond stoked. I know.
Well, I mean, I will say this, to your point, there is a lot to be excited again. I know that there are going to be people in the chat, and of course, obviously Mad Dog, he obviously, based on his comment, he was burnt by Halo 5. I think a lot of people were, and I think that right now, and I've said this before and I'll say it again, the amount of pressure that is currently on 343 to get this right must be tremendous. So I hearing them talk about the game, hearing them talking about the new engine, I think we're going to be very surprised.
I think a lot of people are going to be surprised. I don't know if everyone's ready for Halo. I mean, Halo was a phenomenon. It was covered by the news. Everybody was out in line for midnight releases. Like, it was Halo 2 and Halo 3. I was out there hours and hours before, and those games, they have the complete package. I think that's what they're aiming for. I know, Titan, you're like, they got to kill the campaign. I think that's first and foremost their most important thing, honestly, because campaign has always been the strong point from Halo 1, 2, and 3. Even Reach. People liked Reach a lot, as far as I remember. I thought it was great. But, like, the first 3 Halos, they had it was like a complete package is what it was.
Yeah.
Like, you had Forge, you had online multiplayer. The fact that Halo 2 pretty much introduced the Xbox Live friends list. Like,
and really no other game offered you a stellar campaign, multiplayer, and like a creative Forge they did. Like,
the closest thing that I knew that had anything like Forge back then was something like Far Cry Primal Instincts or something. And it was that was very in depth for them. Like, you had the whole landscape mode, but I think they're going to aim for the complete package. If they nail the campaign, the multiplayer has to be right there with it. I just believe it will be. I think if people aren't ready for a free to play style of Halo, I think that's coming.
Yeah, me too.
And I don't think they're going to do you dirty with a bunch of microtransactions. I've seen how that stung people like EA with Battlefront, and how it just games like Apex where it pushes people out. Like you saw how many players
you
are
know
playing
what
Apex.
secretly Microsoft's ultimate DLC or ultimate microtransaction is called Xbox Game Pass.
Yes.
And what they're going to do is they're going to allow you as a player to bring home your Xbox Series X or S, whatever you decide, and not have to worry about, oh shit, I barely have enough money to afford the console. How am I going to play all of these new games?
Right.
Well, you don't have to worry about it. And that is, to me, the biggest and best trick of all. They're giving you 200 plus games in Xbox Game Pass for $15 a month. You're going to get xCloud. You're getting Xbox Live to be a part of that, and you're getting all of these games day and date. This is the ultimate loot box that you're not gambling on.
Right. And even how they had the Ultimate Edition of Gears 5 in their day and date with Ultimate. Like they were going to do the same edition treatment, I would imagine, for Halo. So
yes,
I think it's going to be amazing, man. There's nothing but potential there. I don't want to, I don't know. I don't want to jinx them, but it's going to be.
Right. I'm so scared of that, my damn self.
I don't
like
want
you
to
see
jinx
these.
them. I don't want to get overhyped because, like, yeah, I mean, fool me once.
Well, you know what? Let's keep the positivity going as we close in on 400 people live watching. I want to bring in Cybernox, one of our resident huge Halo fans. But before I get to your point, Cybernox, I want to thank a couple of people. Drunken Ninja, who is here, one of the first people here in the chat. He drops an outstanding $2 super chat and says this: I hope the trailer shows you on the one-shot camera. Oh, they're gonna surprise a lot of people. I think we're gonna get 10 to 12 actual gameplay minutes of holding the controller, watching this game go. And Hot Grits 910 is here. Thank you for hanging out with us, dude. He drops a very generous $5 super chat and says this: Halo lost its soul. 343 tried to do Bungie when only Bungie can do that. 343 has to make a game they really want to make, and I believe that they have the tools with the investment in the Slipspace engine, and I believe that we're going to get that. And Mariano Pampa, hey dude, thanks for hanging out. He drops a very generous $2 super chat and says this: not just Xbox, gaming needs Master Chief back. You are damn right. That is a great point. But Cybernox, when you hear that, first of all, we have to understand the source. And I'm very good friends with Dealer. I talk with him through DMs on a regular basis. He has one of the most popular Xbox shows. His panel is littered with superstars. Everybody on that panel is the bee's knees, in my opinion, and I respect every one of them highly. But if this would have come from Johnny in the corner, who doesn't have any kind of a following or even a status quo, so to speak, I would take it up. I would take it off as being rubbish. But because Dealer actually knows many of the insiders as well as Microsoft brass, he would never go out on a ledge and say something this. Well, I mean, this got picked up by other websites, which is, what I'm saying. So, I mean, there is some substance, because I know for a fact that he knows people. When you hear this, does this make more for Halo Infinite?
Your source is Dealer Gaming? That guy doesn't know anything. What you yeah, all right. Dealer's the man. I love Dealer. Absolutely, man. Halo, I think this 343 is under tremendous pressure, right? We've heard it from everybody here on the panel. Everyone is excited for this Halo, and we all want it to succeed. The thing is, they need to nail it out of the park. I think one of the super chats mentioned that Halo lost its soul. I kind of agree with that. I think once 343 got a hold of the franchise, they wanted it so bad to make it their own, but they went with trends instead of just evolving the Halo franchise, right? Right now, this is their baby, right? This is their baby right here. They got all the time they need. Okay, think about it. We were supposed to get Halo 5 already. They delayed it so they can work on it, take their time. They have a brand new engine, so there's literally no excuse. I'm extremely excited if they go on a way kind of like God of War, like you said, like the one-shot camera, you following through Chief's eyes. Because when people play Halo, they wanna see Master Chief's story. That's what they want to see. They want to see the Chief. They want to play as Master Chief, and I think that's what hurt them on the long run with Halo 5. Halo 5, I think that they were just trying to push Locke so hard on the fan base just so they can introduce another character in the franchise, so they can expand the Halo universe, maybe with Locke doing other things. You know, now you have Master Chief and Locke, and then you can have multiple games. But you got to go back to the roots. You got to go back to Halo. I want to see new enemies though, kind of like you guys been mentioning. I didn't mind the Prometheus. I know you didn't like them, Boom. But I was tired of the Flood. Isn't that weird? You guys like the Flood?
It's been a while since we've seen the Flood. Real quick, I want to stop the show just for a hot second because I'm appalled. There is somebody in the chat. Let me just be a gentleman about this, and I encourage everyone that if you are a fan of me, my brother's African American, right? You know how I feel about the community as a whole. His name is Flatrone or whatever, Flat Ronnie. And I'm not going to repeat the rest of his name. He wrote it in there specifically. He's been hidden by me. He's been reported. If you, again, I have to compose myself because obviously, how I feel about this kind of stuff. I don't like any kind of hate speech, especially in my chats, and I will not stand for it. So I encourage anyone to seriously report him. Report his IP to Google or YouTube, and let's get a piece of garbage like that off of the air. But please continue, Cybernox.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I just think once they figure out exactly what they want, they've been doing everything that they need to do. They've been taking their time. So yeah, I'm just excited to see the way the Halo franchise actually expands. I think they need to do something different. It's become a little bit stale for a lot of people, and hopefully we'll get to see what they've been working on for all these years. New engine, hopefully a fantastic campaign. I think Titan mentioned this, and I would agree. Whether you like it or not, though, your campaign determines the success a little bit of your multiplayer.
I agree 100%.
Because people either hate or love your game based on not only on your campaign, but campaign has a tons to do with it. People will stay on your game. They'll play your game multiple times. They'll try different modes. They'll go on multiplayer, and they just need to get that correct. Give Chief story. Give us a well told tale of what's going on in that universe, and then just let the cards fall where they may. But I'm excited for it, man.
And that's especially where this game can shine, right? What do you think, Cybernox? Is like because there's so much that I think that's left to explore with just a story, or even all kind of different ways that they could go with it too, right?
100%, man. It's huge.
Yes, it's vast.
I will say, I'll say one thing though. Oh, go ahead, Kyle. Sorry, my bad.
No, I was just gonna add to your point that's a prime example with Halo 5 right there. I know plenty of people who love the multiplayer. They love the gameplay, they love the feel of it, but that campaign was, for lack of better words, horrendous in a lot of ways, and it just turns a lot of people off, turns your reviewers off, turns your score down, and then people don't even tune in for what you have to offer. So it's detrimental.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I agree with that.
Well, you know what? Let's bring in someone that's here, and he a little late to the party, but you know what? His presence means the world to me. And I'm talking about my brother from another mother. You know him as Gaming Forte. Listen, dude, thanks so much for hanging out and joining tonight's show. I know you were running a little bit late from work, but you got here in the nick of time to talk about Halo. And there is no bigger fan than Halo than you, obviously, because you are such a big fan of not only Destiny, but Bungie. But now it's in 343's hands, and we have on good authority that there's going to be some elements of Halo Infinite that are going to be compared to God of War, and they're going to talk about that. And of course, I'm talking about Dealer Gaming mentioned this on RDX, and I have on good authority myself that we are all going to be tremendously blown away with not only the graphics, but the fact that Chief is coming back in a massive way. What are your thoughts when they talk about God of War being compared to Halo Infinite?
Oh God. Okay. So God of War is my game of the generation.
You better stop that right now.
I'm
just kidding. I'm just kidding.
What anybody says, that game is freaking incredible. But man, it ain't been a secret how I feel about Halo, and I love Halo. The biggest thing is I just feel like there was mistakes made along the way with the story, and especially with 5. And I was listening to you guys and talk about the direction and stuff they went with. I don't think it would have been as bad if they didn't promote Halo 5 the way they promoted it.
That's a good point. Yeah,
I think because if you think about Halo 5 on its own, just like Halo 3 and Halo 2 and stuff with the Arbiter and stuff, it's like they didn't promote, like you saw screenshots and video with the Arbiter in it, but you just thought it was a normal falling. You didn't know what it was until you got into the game, and then you realized you started playing with the Arbiter for like parts of the game and stuff, which was cool because you got a chance to see the other side of what the conflict with the Covenant was. So it was actually really cool that they set it up that way, and they didn't tell you about it. Whereas Halo 5 was billed as this turning point where you didn't know who was right, who was wrong, them versus Chief, and it was like who was gonna win, and it just turned into this whole story that absolutely attend to nothing.
Yeah.
And that was the biggest thing. They build it as this build up against, the clashing of two minds, and then it ended up being nothing at all. Whereas if they just showed it and just played it, and gave no context to it, it would have been fine. I think the story was actually pretty cool in Halo 5, but everybody's expectations was like this grand story, and then Microsoft just went deeper and deeper with the cinematography when they was doing like building off-scene sets and telling you a battle story of what was happening outside of the game. So they really dug deep into you thinking that the Halo story was going to be this mythical thing that was incredible, and it just didn't fall on that in that category for a lot of people. So I understand like they have this huge budget now, and I understand that people are super excited. And I'm excited too, but I'm just I have to temper my expectations because I can't take another Halo falling in the way that Halo 5 failed. I can't.
The problem is
that'd be a heartbreaker, bro.
I can't do it.
The thing is, there's never anything wrong with tempering your expectations. You can't go wrong, right?
Well, in this situation, look, I love Dealer. And that man, he has a lot of connects when it comes to stuff like this. And I tend to believe when Diller says certain things about things like this, I mean, he knows things behind the scene. But when it comes to this game, I don't care what anybody says. Until 343 proves it to me, like to my face, I can't go into this game like, oh my God, it's going to be the most amazing thing ever. Oh, it's going to be this. Oh, it's going to be like literally God of War is literally my game of the generation. For me to say Halo even has the opportunity to do that in the state that it's been in for so long, I can't even wrap my mind around that. Now, I want to be surprised. Now, if I go into this game with the expectations that I have, knowing that Halo 4 had an amazing campaign, but the multiplayer sucked. Halo 5 campaign was okay, but the multiplayer was great. If I get all of that in one package and they finish the fight like they did in Halo 3, then guess what? I'm 100% gonna sing 343 praises. It's just the simple fact that I've been there so much with them and I've been disappointed in parts of the game, and everybody's correct. Multiplayer is a huge part of Halo, but the single player is what drives people to the game to experience.
Excellent. Yes.
You know, we all play Halo 1's, Halo CE's multiplayer because we were enamored with the game because of the single player. And then everybody discovered that the multiplayer was amazing. Now you just got the best of the best playing a multiplayer all the time because they understand how great it is. But the casual base is like, I don't want to play that game because it's nothing there in single player for me to do. So that's the thing they need to really work on. If it's great, it's great. I'm gonna be the first one to sing its praises. I've been telling people for the longest, if Bungie can pull not Bungie, if Halo can 343 can pull this off, you will literally pull me away from Destiny because this is the only game that can do it. It's nothing like this game. It's nothing like Destiny on the market, and Halo's the closest thing. And if Halo can do that, I'm 100% in. I just hope that they take the direction. I hope that they build the game they want to build, but I want them to do different things. Like the flood being this ambiguous thing that you knew nothing about in the original game was masterful. It literally changed the whole tone of the game. When you got to that part, I felt like I was playing like pieces of Silent Hill. I was like, what is going on? It's just and I don't see Microsoft Studios doing that enough. Like it's the same thing with Gears of War. The first Gears of War, when you first go into you're in the tombs and you going through the what's the name's body. It's like that whole atmosphere was completely different. That was something that they didn't do the entire whole part of the other parts of the game. So those were memorable parts. You can always pick those things out. Say, this is what made this game amazing. This is what made this game great. And then once you establish that, people gravitate and they talk about your game and say, hey, you need to play this. If you get that type of stuff in there, then Halo will take care of itself because it's still one of the biggest IPs. It's still, to my opinion, it's still the biggest IP out there. It's just been dormant because the people that have been making it haven't really done what they needed to do to satisfy the urge of the people that love the game, plus find a way to bring all new players back in. They have innovated like crazy. They gave you Warzone. They gave you all of these different things in the game, and I commend them for that. But the things that matter the most in Halo is story, gameplay, and that multiplayer. And when those three things don't sync up with each other, then you got the problem that they've been in for the longest. So I'm excited. I want to be excited for this, but I gotta push pause until this game releases, and I'll be happy. That's all. I'll just be happy when I finally see what I want to see.
This is 343's third attempt, right?
It's gonna be their third
time's charm, right?
Yeah.
Right.
That's
And
right.
tell a comprehensive, like, complete story. Don't make me go like I know sometimes you have to read terminals and have to do tell me the story. Like I want to experience the story like in full one through, because there's a lot of single player players. They'll never try the multiplayer, but because they'll love the single player, they'll maybe, if they actually end up loving it, they'll maybe try the multiplayer, and vice versa. There are a lot of players that just go for the multiplayer, but then they'll hear that the campaign is actually phenomenal. Then what it will do, they'll, it's like contagious. Like you hear it's a great, it's a great campaign, it's a great multiplayer, you'll end up trying it. So tell a good, comprehensive, complete story that's we'll all be able to understand completely and full. Like Halo 5, where did team blue, what is it? Blue team. Where did blue
Red
team
versus
come
blue.
from? Where did blue team come from?
That's
You know
a
what I
deep
mean?
cut from some of the
Well,
books.
if you didn't read the book, you don't know.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what I'm
If
saying.
you ain't read Fall of Reach, you don't know.
But that's the thing. They've made it seem like Chief was the last Spartan of that era, right? He was that last
Right.
and all of a sudden, and nowhere during the game do they explain this. Like nowhere during the game. And you're like, me personally, I was just like, if somebody's playing this and they don't read the books, they don't, they don't know, and then they're just like, what is going on here?
I mean,
It's tough, man.
the only other thing I will say is, and I'm gonna get real close to my mic when I say this, they need to make sure Atriox is a part of this game somehow.
That's what Boom was saying. That's what Boom was saying.
The most interesting thing in Halo since Master Chief.
I gotta go play the Halo Wars, man.
I'm gonna play Halo Wars
This
too,
is
man.
a great opportunity for them to take a character that they created and literally bring him to the main line, because the main line is kind of being rebooted.
Let me tell you how.
And you know what? Atriox, to me, Atriox ain't enough. Really,
No,
if you're
he's
gonna have
not
500 million,
It's just the tip of the iceberg. I'll tell you this. This is how I would open up the game. How I would open up the game very simply is Atriox and the Banished completely wiping the floor with the Prometheans, killing them all, making sure that there's
you
I like
them,
that
dude.
Wiping them out.
Killing me
nothing.
over here.
Get rid of them all. Oh, and in that, they can throw potentially. I'm going to get booed for this, but they could throw Locke in there, and Locke gets cut in half or something by Atriox.
God.
Give him a heroic sacrifice, man.
Lock could go.
Look, I'll say this. This has been a very fun topic. I have to just catch up with a couple of super chats before I get booed off my own show. Black Eye Dog drops not one, but two outstanding and very generous $5 super chats. He redacted his comment. I didn't get a chance to see, but if you want me to read a particular comment, dude, just put that in the chat and I will read it. And Pixel Bit G, a very good and very generous friend of the show, he says Halo 5's gameplay in campaign was fine, and I agree with that. Outside of the story beats, why do some games get a pass for their trash stories and some don't? Listen, I'll put it to this way. I see where you're going with it, and it makes a lot of sense because you do see some stories get a pass. One particular story, which I can't mention live on the air, that you're going to have to tune into on Wednesdays, roundtable discussion when it comes to The Last of Us 2. We won't get too much into that, but the reason why Halo 5, I think, gets it on the chin, at least from me, you have to understand something. I have been a Halo fan since OG Xbox. I played with my brother. I played with my friends. For God's sakes, we used to train in Halo 2. We would link up and we would train to snipe and to use the swords. And then we, as a crew, would run in and wreck people's shit. That's how intense Halo was for me and my brother Neil Mental. Halo 3, same thing. We played it religiously. It was crazy how much we played. Yeah. And Reach, I didn't play as much. And then, of course, 4 was not good multiplayer. 5 was Warzone. Warzone is fantastic. Warzone is exactly the innovation that they needed for multiplayer. Of course, still retaining some of the classic multiplayer. I would love to see a 50-on-50 big team battle. Put all the Let's get tanks. Let's get Pelicans. Let's get whatever you want to throw on the map. Put it in there and let us just go to war. And I think that's what needs to happen. And because these consoles are going to be as big as they are, because Azure servers are going to be running the show when it comes to multiplayer, especially on Halo, it's not going to be a problem. But I want to move on to the next topic. And I'm going to have to immediately, as soon as I'm done with my little story bit, going to bring in Tempest Son because he has been waiting for this particular story for quite some time. And because I knew he was going to be a part of tonight's show, once again, I had to bring up this particular thing because I'm one of the biggest Capcom fans, but also the biggest Resident Evil fans. Now, obviously, Capcom's Resident Evil is a series that has saw its inception on the PlayStation 1 way back in the days in 1996. And since then, there's been countless sequels in the long-running series. Now, on January 24th, 2017, Resident Evil 7 Biohazard released to rave reviews, and besides it being a huge hit with fans, it moved gaming journalists to tears on the level of scares that it produced, and in my opinion, was the turning point for the aging company who up until then, until that release more specifically, was on the ropes of bankruptcy in late 2016. A lot of people don't know that about Capcom. They were on their way out of gaming until Resident Evil 7. Now, Thanks to Sony's PlayStation 5 reveal a couple of weeks ago, we got our first look at the direct sequel that will feature Chris Redfield, who will reprise his role in Resident Evil 8, where you saw him show up in RE7 through DLC called Not a Hero. And it's safe to assume that this game will be released in 2021 early, just like most of the Resident Evil titles going all the way back to Resident 7. And we also have confirmation that yes, 2021 is when Resident Evil 8 is going to come. We also have confirmation that it is going to support PlayStation VR from start to finish the same way 7 did. So obviously I'm buying 2 copies, one for the PlayStation 5 and one, of course, for the Xbox Series X. Now, Tempest Son, as I was saying, has been chomping at the bit, and I want to give him a few minutes on the mic. But before I do, I want to answer the question. Now, he has a lot to say about this. We may differ in opinions, but with what was shown, how do you feel about the over-the-top nature that Resident Evil 8, The Village, is bringing to the gamers? And are you unsure about the werewolves that are now a part of RE canon? Could the entire game go right off a cliff? Please, Tempest Son, take it away.
All right, so just to take it back to the trailer itself,
he called me and he was
I was
raving.
pissed. I was
He
pissed.
was.
Yeah, like I was so upset. And as I was watching it, I'm a huge Resident Evil fan. By God, I really am. And I was sitting there watching it, and I was like, well, maybe it's not Resident Evil, because I saw the werewolf. I'm like, what is this? And dude, as soon as I saw Chris Redfield show up, I got instantly super excited. But then he's like, sorry, and he like blew that chick away, and I was like, what? I'm like, excuse me, dude. I'm like, Chris Redfield is like, he's pretty much like my hero. I love Chris Redfield so much, dude. I can't get enough of that guy. He's freaking amazing. I actually like the way he look. A lot of people are making fun of that he's jacked. I thought the best version of Chris Redfield was Resident Evil 5. I played that game so much. I love the fact that he just turned him into a freaking Jack
super
Arnold
soldier.
Schwarzenegger. Yeah, exactly, dude. Boulder punch. I mean, who punches a freaking 20-ton boulder off into a molting pit of lava for his teammate? Who does that? Chris Redfield does. So that's why I love the guy. But anyway, I saw him do that, and my first thing was like, I had so many mixed emotions, dude. I was legitimately pissed because, one, that stream was terrible. Not the show, but the stream. It looked bad, and so the frame rate was choppy. I don't know where they're going with the story. And the other thing too is I did like Resident Evil 7, but it's not Resident. I mean, it is Resident Evil, but it's not like for me, RE2 and RE3, the remakes are like peak Resident Evil to me. I think they could follow that formula, make slight changes, and I would be perfectly happy, right? But 7 was good. In fact, it was Boom's Game of the Year that year. A lot of people really liked it. And at its core, it really was a Resident Evil game. That's the thing that gets many people is they see the first-person camera, the difference in the art style, and really they went for like the Hills Have Eyes type of horror, not so much the like biomutant, like zombie type of horror. You know what I'm saying? So when I first saw the camera angle, I was like, I don't know if I like this again. I don't know if I want to go back there. I would rather play as Chris Redfield, to be honest with you. But then I went back and I rewatched it, and it's just apparent that there's different teams working at Capcom here that work on these games. The team, you can clearly tell it's the team that did 7, not just because of the camera angle, but they almost have like a weird like claymation look. I don't know what else to call it, so I'm going to go with that. If you ever watch like old claymation animation movies and stuff, I swear they almost have they look fake. No matter how real they look with their facial expressions or what they're doing or saying, they still look kind of fake. And the image is always purposefully like messed up. They always put blurry filters, chromatic views on it, just all kinds of stuff to purposely make the image look worse. And 7 did that in spades. And I saw that with this trailer here as well. The werewolves, you know what, dude? Like, whatever they put in this game, I'll actually be okay with, as long as they just maintain the DNA of the Resident Evil franchise,
Well, they also
like
have to
7 did.
explain where the werewolves are coming from. I mean, are these
Right.
BOWs a new type of BOW? I would
Yeah.
imagine that it's going to be explained that in fact is the case. It's not going to be like, oh, Johnny got bit while he was hunting and now he's a werewolf
Yeah.
eating the town. Oh, there's
Yeah.
Chris Redfield.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, and then the whole Chris Redfield thing, I'm hoping they're just playing with people like me that love Chris Redfield and that he is actually a good guy. Maybe that girl was about to kill Ethan or something like that. And I just hope he's like an integral part of the story. When I first heard the rumors, we had discussed the rumors of this game on this very show.
Mhm.
And we were like, you take control of Chris Redfield. And that's not what I'm seeing. I'm seeing Ethan again. And no offense, but as good of a game as Resident Evil 7 was, Ethan was just kind of there. I mean, you never really see him. He's just like he's just like the avatar you play as. I don't know how else to describe it other than that. You never really get to connect.
Because he was just somebody looking for his wife. He didn't have any connection to Umbrella. He didn't have any connection to Stars. He didn't have any real connection to the RE universe.
Yeah, and one thing I like about the RE franchise is there is like overall, because there's a lot of games, there's a ton of characters, but when you really think about it, it's Chris. As far as your protagonists, it's Chris, Jill, Leon, Anna Wong, and Claire Redfield. Yeah, they kind of like circle around these characters, and I find that to be great because
poor Barry never gets any due.
Yeah, no, he doesn't. He really doesn't. But they cycle between these characters, and each character gets kind of like their own game, their own flavor. And I just really thought it would be cool to bring it back to Chris. I feel he's my personal favorite. Most people like Leon, but he's my personal favorite character of the RE franchise. So I was just disappointed, and like I said, it just looked off. Frame rate was really bad, even rewatching it. The graphics somehow, some way seemed worse than RE3 and RE2. I know that some people will disagree with me on that, but you know what? It's coming out in 2021. So they have a long way to go. A lot of time to polish it off or polish it up. And I'm just hoping that they're playing with their expectations. And one, Chris is in it more, and he's not a douchebag that decides to kill people for no reason. So
yeah, you know what? I think that was the trailer was purposely cut to make Chris look like he'd gone off the reservation. And I don't think that's going to be the case. It also has been confirmed by Capcom that Resident Evil 8, The Village, will in fact be exclusive to next-gen consoles. So if you're not looking to potentially get an X or a PS5, you're probably going to be shit out of luck, so to speak, simply because according to Capcom, this game is massive and they're giving you places to explore, which sounds to me like they're going to be giving you side missions to do, which I still think that not only are you going to use Nathan, I think that somewhere through the game, and we've seen this in something like Code Veronica, where not only did you use Chris, but you also used his sister. So you got a chance to use both, Claire and Chris through different parts of the game. I have a feeling that we may see a return of that, where you're actually using Chris as well as Nathan, which I think would be cool as long as it's done correctly. But let's bring in Cotton. Cotton, you rewatched the video. I know we were talking through DM. I don't know how big of a Resident Evil fan you are, but what are your thoughts on werewolves being added to the game? And do you like the fact that you are not using Chris, but you're using Nathan, who is reprising his role as the main protagonist from Resident 7?
Yeah, I like that. I'm not a huge fan. I literally just played through 4 for the first time like a month ago. I played a bit of 7 and watched my friend play it all, so I'm not the biggest fan, but it's cool. I know a few people who 7 was their first Resident Evil, so it's cool for them to at least continue that on and then bring in characters from past games, so you have that attraction for new players as well as the old. And the werewolf, as far as it didn't look like your typical werewolf, so maybe it's like its face popped up and he's looked all sort of zombified. I don't know, my knowledge isn't too great But
Well, he definitely
I'm
looked like a
excited.
BOW for sure. He wasn't like Saberwolf from
Yeah,
from
he wasn't
Killer
a
Instinct.
typical looking werewolf at all. I mean, when I was watching that event and it came on, I somehow just knew right away that it was Resident Evil. I think it was something to do with that close up shot of the older dude with the shotgun in the house, like just the way his face looked. It instantly reminded me of like the old lady in RE7. So I think it will look better, obviously, than what they showed.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Tempest was saying, they do have 6 months, and again, folks, I'm only guessing that it's going to be January or February, first quarter of 2021. For all I know, it could be holiday of 2021 or even Halloween that October. But they do have a lot of time to develop it. I have a good feeling. Look, I'm going to say this. I'll be the first one to tell you this. When I first saw Resident Evil 7, very similar to Tempest, I was like, oh my,
Iffy, huh?
it just ruined, because you have to understand, we were just coming off Resident Evil 6, and a good friend of the show, Philly Eagle, says that reminds me, I just started playing RE6 the other day, and OMG, the opening scene was garbage. Well, listen, I'm gonna as your friend, stop playing right now. Don't waste another hour of your gaming goodness on that title, because it is the only Resident Evil game I've never beaten. I got halfway through, and when I started seeing the Yakuza turning from gang members into flying bugs, I shut the game off. So I can assure you that you will be wasting your time if you continue playing it. It was basically Gears of Resident Evil. It was awful. It was terrible. Don't do it. And thanks for your comments, Dupes. Let's bring a Titan Drag on this. Now, obviously, I dropped that trailer into the DM. You got a chance to take a look at it. Are you a big Resident Evil fan, and were you impressed or concerned for Resident Evil 8: The Village?
I'm an old school Resident Evil fan, like 1, 2, and 3. After that, kind of went down, kind of goodbye to it, right? But like, in my opinion, I don't think you can go wrong with werewolves. I'm kind of intrigued how to see they throw it into the Resident Evil world. I love werewolves, anything werewolves and vampires. So throw those two in there. All right, you got my curiosity. At least I think I might come back to this game. I think I'll grab this just for the werewolf intrigue, if you will.
Did you play? I don't mean to cut you off. Did you play RE2, the remake?
No.
No,
dude, you gotta play it. My God.
I know everyone says it's so good, and it's like not even the same thing, and that's why I didn't. I hate remakes. Like I like once I beat anything once, I never want to play it again. That's just me. Although I know like this one like supposedly changed up a lot of things, but still, it's like,
It's just visually shocking the first time you see it. If you're like used to the old one, and then you see this remake, because this is what I consider a remake. It's just night and day, man. You feel like you're
not a remaster. Like
no.
Yeah.
It is so far. Look, I'll put it this way. I've been gaming for a very long time, right? Resident Evil 2 98 for my entire existence as a gamer has been number one without ever being challenged by anything. It has now been replaced with Resident Evil 2 19. So that's how good of a game it is. I've beaten it 6 times. I'm going to probably run through it another dozen times. So I just completely love it. I think it's fantastic. I've beaten 3 about 6 times. I think 3
was my favorite. Nemesis,
and it's literally so good. But a good friend of the show, Christina, says 6 is her favorites. And you know what? There's a lot of people that says that like actually 6. And you know what? I tried multiple times. It just was not for me. But
5 was the one with co-op, right?
Co-op, yes, that was the one in Africa. That one was. I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah,
that
5 was. I loved 5 so much, man.
5 was fantastic. Yeah. I'd like to see his partner, the female. Return. Yes, love to see her return. And who knows?
My wife looks a little bit like Sheva. Just saying.
Well, there you go. You did the right thing, brother. That's great. Cybernox, what are your thoughts on the video that I put in the DM? Are you impressed or concerned, or do you not even care about Resident Evil 8? You're just going to either not play it or play it.
No, I'm obviously I do care about the Resident Evil franchise. I'm a big horror fan. Ironically, I don't play a lot of horror games, which I love. I love playing it. Like I have Resident Evil 2 that I haven't played. I have Resident Evil
Right.
7
Somebody boo
that I
this man
haven't
in the
played.
chat.
I'm telling you, there's too many damn games, bro. I don't know what to do here. I have limited time. It's tough. Yeah, but I saw the trailer. I'm not as invested to the characters as like yourself or Tempest are, but I think I think it's interesting what they're doing, right? They have to try something new, and that's the danger with like any franchise. I do respect Capcom that they are trying to evolve and they're trying something new, right? Not to bring it back to Halo again, you can see it with Halo, a beloved franchise that has become stale over time because they've been doing the same damn thing over and over, or they don't, they don't know what to do with it. Resident Evil 7, they did something new, right? First person for the first time, and
Yes.
and they had a completely different narrative, which kind of they tied everything in at the end. So I think it could work, man. We don't know how they're gonna implement all that, all the werewolf and things like that, but I'm intrigued actually. Bring something different to the table. Capcom has been knocking it out of the park recently.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
it's something that, like, you got to give them the benefit of the doubt. You can't just say, "Oh, I don't like what they're doing here." You got to give them a chance. They've been doing so many things right recently that it's tough for you not to expect something with the same in the same level as this as Capcom's previous game. So yeah, man, I'm excited for this. Trailer looked interesting to me. Like I said, they're trying something new, and I'm excited for it.
Well, you know what? I mean, listen, I think that there is a lot to get excited about. The fact that they're adding new creatures to it is always great. But I want to hear from Gaming Forte regarding Resident Evil 8, The Village. Obviously, the trailer was a part of Sony's big show. It did turn a lot of heads. It did get a lot of buzz. And like Resident Evil 7, it returns to the first-person perspective that I admittedly could not even wrap my mind around. But when I played it, I beat 7 8 times. Multiple times on both consoles. I bought it for the PlayStation 4 and, of course, the Xbox One. And I bought it both because obviously you get to play it in VR, which you said you did. I only got about 2 hours into it, and I was like, you know what? I want to enjoy my pension, so no, I'm not doing VR. So, what are your thoughts about them not only returning to FPS in Resident Evil, but continuing the story of Nathan, but somehow bringing Chris Redfield to the table?
Yeah, when I saw Chris, I was like, "Oh, okay, here we go. We're trying to find a way to bring everybody back in." I think it's a good move. Not going to take too long because everybody pretty much has some really good points on this. The biggest thing is for me, as soon as I saw it, I saw the werewolves. I was like, "Okay, is the werewolf rumors we heard so long ago true?" And as soon as I started seeing werewolves, I was like, "Oh, this Resident Evil 8." I just instantly knew right then and there. And I like the one thing I like about what they're doing now. People used to complain about Resident Evil over the course of time, saying, no, it's not even about the zombies no more. It's not about the infection. It's just about whatever agenda they want to push. Like that's what 5 and 6 and 5 and 6 especially. And then they just kind of got away from what Resident Evil was. Well, it looks like they kind of got back to it with Resident Evil 7, even though it wasn't truly about, the dead. It was still a different way and a different take on what Resident Evil could be. I still felt the atmosphere was everything that it needed to be for a Resident Evil game. And I like that they're doing something different. They're exploring different parts of what the franchise has never done before. And it just makes me excited to actually go in and do it. The first thing I said when I saw the trailer and I was like, oh, this is Resident Evil 8 Village. Sony, there better be VR.
It's been confirmed. It's been confirmed.
Okay, good. I stopped looking at it. Okay, so I had a feeling it was going to be there. It's like there's no way it's not going to have VR. Playing that game in VR is like one of the most surreal things you will ever do because it is And trust me, I didn't want to do it myself. My daughter actually got me to do it because she started playing it right when I got the VR headset. She was like looking for games to play. And she was just going through the PlayStation and said, "Oh, you can play Resident Evil in VR." And one day I just woke up in the middle. You know how you just get thirsty, wake up in the middle of the night. I go in and I walk into the living room and she's got the headset on sitting there, and it's like 4:00 in the morning. She got the headset on sitting there playing. I was like, what in the world? And I look what she's playing. I'm like, oh, you playing Resident Evil? I was like, how far are you? She's like, I'm about 6 hours in. I was like, oh. So I was like, there's no way I can let my oldest daughter get away and do Resident Evil VR and not even a sweat at it. So I went and did it, and it was, it's such an incredible experience. Just sitting at the dinner table in 7, being chased around the car in the garage. The mom chasing you. Oh, it was crazy, man. It was so good. And that is what the first thing that popped in my head is like just experiencing werewolves with that thing on. I'm gonna do it in both modes, do it in VR and non-VR, because you kind of want to just take in a story the first time, just playing it regular, but then gotta jump into that VR mode.
Nah, screw that, man. Do the VR first.
No, man. Listen. You only do VR first if you want to be scared out of your freaking mind.
Yeah, you got the full immersion.
No, heck no.
Exactly.
Look, my daughter might make I don't know. I leave it up to her. I let her make the decision on it, because when it came down to playing, I asked her, and she's like, "Well, you gonna play it in VR, right?" I was like, "No." She's like, "Yeah, you are." I was like, okay, so she tells me I gotta play in VR first. I'm gonna do it. She has all of the cards on that one. But if it's up to me, I'm playing it regular first, so I can know where the jumps are gonna be at, so I'm prepared for them in VR. But,
dude, you're throwing half of your value away out of the VR, right?
No, man. Because guess what, Titan? Guess what? I guarantee, even if you beat it in VR and beat it in regular, you still wouldn't go back and play it in VR. Because I know Boom ain't gonna do it. You can beat that. He can go out and beat it. No, Boom will beat the game. He'll beat it in he'll beat it standard. And if he had a VR headset and looked at it, it said, he looked at that Resident Evil, he'd be like, I ain't playing that in VR, bro.
You know
what's funny?
You know what the contributing factor was for me? I was playing the PlayStation VR demo of, it's called The Kitchen for Resident
The Kitchen, yep.
Which was awesome. And it just goes to show you, like, what I really enjoy about the Sony PlayStation VR. It does close in on your face tight.
Yeah, it does.
There's no light that comes in, so you are immersed, in what you're seeing.
Yes.
And there's a particular part where something comes rolling at you.
Mm-hmm.
I lifted up both of my feet as if it was going to hit them. That's how good it was. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to try Resident Evil 7. And you know what did it for me? What did it for me was running from the father. In that first, when you're stuck at the table and he's hunting for you.
Yep.
He got me multiple times. And I'm like, you know what? It's okay. I've beaten the game multiple times. I'll just take the L on this one. But you know what? Listen.
But you know what? The biggest thing, the last thing I'll say is, when it comes to, and I'm a huge component of VR, if you want to bring horror back in a big way, do it on VR, because I can only imagine what games like Condemned being remade in VR would be like. I can imagine if EA ever brought back Dead Space.
Oh, that would be
give it to VR. Make sure it's in VR. And what was the last game that was the latest horror games that were on PlayStation? That were on Xbox and PlayStation. It's a 2-pack now. It's a double pack. You basically just run and you're always
Outlast.
Yes. Bring Outlast. Like, I think horror games are the one thing that you can absolutely kill it for.
That is
in VR.
Oh,
that is the best
man.
VR experience. I never tried VR till not too recently. My brother brought his over and I played with it, but like, it's so, they have to fix the motion sickness, otherwise I'm really like,
you know what? I think this is the thing though. And shout out to the next gen, and I can't wait for it to get here when Sony makes their, and hopefully the next gen systems boost the resolution and frame rate on the older
VR.
To a very low tolerance. Yes.
Yeah, because the biggest thing with VR is, once you get above 60 frames per second, it is way better. Like the level of enjoyment you get out of the game is so much better just because of the frame rate is a lot more steadier and more congestible. Now, some people will still be susceptible to actually, having motion sickness and stuff, but it dramatically goes down with the better hardware you have. That's why when you play on PC, you don't see as many people have those issues with their VR headsets.
Right.
But it's only time's going to tell. But yeah, boom, this game looks incredible. As soon as I saw the werewolves, I was like, yes, they're going even further in the direction I think will make their platform better. It is only going to go up from here. And I'm just surprised. There's going to be secrets and surprise characters in this game they haven't talked about yet. I'm just looking forward to seeing what they are.
No, I absolutely agree, and I think there's a lot to be excited about, and I really want to temper my I know for Tempest for sure to temper his disappointment, because you enjoyed Resident Evil 7. No, it wasn't your technical Resident Evil. When you look at Resident Evil, you think of 2 or 3. I really enjoyed 7 to the point where I couldn't believe I was enjoying it as much as I did in first person, and I'm very excited to play. But I want to move on to another one of the bigger topics. Now, look, when talking about gaming, there are seldom franchises and IPs that invoke a childlike excitement that brings us to our happy place. And for me and millions of gamers, that franchise is Star Wars. And in recent years, EA, who holds the exclusive development and publishing rights to the IP, have dropped the ball, in my opinion, with very mediocre releases in Star Wars Battlefront 1 and 2. And of course, Battlefront 2 was shrouded in a pay-to-win loot box scandal that still people are talking about. But last year, things started to change for the better with Respawn's epic Star Wars ROM Jedi Fallen Order, and it was a huge success for both EA and, of course, its developer Respawn Entertainment. And from what we hear of the sequel, it's going to be even bigger and bolder, and that is coming to us potentially in 2022. But we're not talking about that character or franchise. We're here to talk about the new X-Wing and TIE Fighter flight sim known as Star Wars Squadrons that they showed off at last week's EA Play, which the show itself wasn't good. But my God, that trailer invoked hypeness in me that I haven't had in a very long time for a Star Wars game. Now, my only complaint that has been confirmed by EA Motive, who is making the game, is that you're going to be able to only see the cockpit view of the TIE Fighter or the X-Wing or whatever ship that you're going to be flying. It does not have a third-person perspective like we've seen in Rogue Squadron games before it. But it has also been confirmed that if you buy it for the PlayStation 4, which of course I am buying it, you are getting the VR for absolutely price of free. So you're going to be able to play Star Wars Squadrons in VR, and they showed what that looked like a little bit, and OMG, sign me the F up. It's only $40. But you know what's more interesting about this story besides the actual game, besides the unbelievable trailer? You're getting 2 single-player campaigns. You're going to be able to go at this from both the Rebel point of view as well as, of course, the dreaded Empire. But where this story takes a turn for the question mark going over my head like Snake in Metal Gear is that it also has been confirmed that there will be 0 microtransactions in this game. You heard me, folks. You heard me. Right. 0 microtransactions from the masters of raking their players over the coals, EA, the evil empire. And I want to get I want to break that down. In fact, you know what? Let's go to Titan Drago on this. Titan, first of all, EA Motive is making this, and we know that they're a very talented team. The trailer, for at least for me and for many people, because it's one of the highest views that came out of the EA Play. I mean, not a big surprise because there really wasn't much there, but it's Star Wars, and people are excited. But with that said, $40 is getting you the game. It's coming out October 2nd of this year. If you buy it for the PlayStation 4, not only are you getting the regular game that you can play with your controller and just enjoy on your TV, but you're also getting the double dip, if you will, in added VR. What are your thoughts of the trailer that I added into the DM? Are you a Star Wars fan, and are you excited to see what Star Wars Squadrons are all about?
I can't think. I just want to know: is this PlayStation's version of the Xbox? You know what I'm trying to say? The Xbox version of, what do you call it? The upgrade, the free upgrade. Fucking
Smart delivery.
Smart delivery. Thank you. Is this a PlayStation version of smart delivery?
No, you know what it is. I just think a lot of Sony's games get that bonus because they offer VR, and that's a great thing. That's why a lot of the games I'll buy on PlayStations, because I get that so-called quote unquote free upgrade for. And I listen. I have PlayStation VR. I've been a big supporter. I've purchased it multiple times. I've upgraded from the original no HDMI pass-through to the one that actually has it, and I absolutely cannot wait to play this. But it's a bonus of buying it on the PlayStation 4.
Thank you, Finest, in the chat, by the way. But yeah, I just had to throw that little dig in there on PlayStation because they don't have a real, enactment of that program. But anyways, we're getting back to the realism part. Like, it hits me like the last time I played a Squadron game was freaking back on my Nintendo 64. People, like, how the hell old was I? I don't even remember. Teenager? It was ridiculous. Like, I think I was a preteen. I think I was a teenager. But that's blowing my mind. Like, how, like, I loved that game. I still remember that game to this day on my Nintendo 64. But I love the fact that you could play this thing from both sides, right? And especially in the Star Wars universe, I think the Star Wars universe kind of brings uniqueness to that, playing from both sides, the light side and the dark side, because a lot of people would like to be like a Jedi, or a lot of people would like to be like a Sith or something, and now you kind of get to do that in like a Rogue Squadron type atmosphere. I think that's amazing. I don't mind, and I don't know if we want to call hated on it, but you don't like the fact that you have to do the cockpit. I actually don't mind that. I think that adds to the immersion of the game.
I agree. No. When you say it like that, I mean, I thought about it too. I mean, don't get me wrong. I wish the option was there.
Yeah.
More than likely, I would probably play it through the cockpit view, which is technically first person. But I'd love the ability for the option. But the fact that I'm more concerned about playing it on the VR. I wouldn't play it in third person in VR anyway.
Oh, VR, no, you can't do in VR that way. That'd be an absolute no-go. But I don't mind. I do love options. Like, I love Xbox. I love options. I'm home of the options over here on the Xbox. But for this game, I don't mind. I think this game gets a pass on that, because I think, like, if you're in the cockpit view only, I think that kind of brings another level of immersion to the game, where it's like you just really feel like you're a pilot, and that's hard. That's hard to, unless you're in VR, that's really hard to capture. You know what I mean?
No, I agree, and I think that the immersion aspect is really what the game is going for. I mean, sure, it's real easy to bring it back to the GameCube Rogue Squadron, where you see the actual X-wing or the TIE fighter or whatever, but this gives you the ability to give you that where you're literally going to feel as if you're sitting in the cockpit of whatever starcraft that you're flying.
Yeah. Although, real quick, I do remember, I believe on the Nintendo 64, like, I'd play in the cockpit view, and then, like, I'll never forget roping my first AT-AT. Yeah. Roping, that was legit. That forced you into the third person, I believe.
Yes.
You might have been able to do it in the first person, but I don't recall it. It's too long ago, man. I can't remember. Yeah. I'm old. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, listen, it's look, like I said, what I find intriguing is that this is a potential second game with the Star Wars license that could be good. I mean, again, it looks fantastic. We have to see how it plays out. We have to see what the multiplayer, we have to see what the single player campaign for both the Empire and the Rebels are all about. But for $40, I think you're getting a lot if you're a Star Wars fan. I think if you've been waiting for a Rogue Squadron successor, I think you're going to get it. And I think that these next, obviously it's going to be interesting to see what the final game looks like. I'm super excited. But real quick, I have to catch up on a super chat. A good friend of the show, Nightwolf 3186, and he actually sent this a while back, so I apologize that it got lost in the shuffle. He says Atriox needs a second in command that everyone dislikes almost just as much as they dislike the blonde German bad guy in Die Hard. And I agree. I think he has to have someone that is just as nasty as him, potentially nastier, which would be hard to match because Atriox is a real MF. But getting back to Star Wars, let's bring in Gaming Forte. Gaming Forte, we just talked about PlayStation VR. We talked about how you enjoyed it, and that your daughter is a gamer and she enjoys it as well. Are you going to be getting the new Star Wars game for PlayStation specifically to play it in VR?
That trailer was the only reason that conference didn't get the biggest filling grade ever. It was like the only thing they showed that I was like, oh, okay, good. I loved it. So I am a huge Star Wars fan. I actually got into a conversation with somebody about the difference between episode 8 and 9 at work today, because it was like he told me he didn't like 9. And I was like, well, how the hell did you like 8? So like that don't that don't add up. That don't add up. So I was like, okay. But no, when I saw the trailer, it was really, really refreshing to see them actually go back and break apart parts of Battlefront 2 that I actually enjoyed the most was the air-to-air combat and stuff. I really, really like that. I am a huge fan of fighter jet stuff. So when it comes to anything where you're in a jet or a cockpit of anything, I am always in. I bought the steering. I have the yaw. I have the yaw, and I have the thruster and stuff from Ace Combat 6 from 360. I have the one for the Ace Combat 7 when they re-released it on Xbox One. So I have all that stuff, and it is pretty incredible. That's why I'm one of those people that's super excited for Flight Simulator, because I like those type of games too. So being able to see this game got me excited beyond all belief. And don't get it twisted, it's mostly because I'm a Star Wars fan, because that's the one thing that
you only have 17 lightsabers, dude. I mean, come on.
Well, shoot, probably more if I dig deeper. But the biggest thing that I don't think people really get is when people always wonder, like, well, why did Disney come so hard down on Lucas about what was going on with Battlefront 2? It's not the fact that it's just a game. Star Wars is one of those IPs that sells itself. Like, you put Star Wars on something, it's going to sell millions of copies of whatever it is. It could be the most shittiest game ever, shit my French, but it could be bad. But people will buy it because it has Star Wars on it, and that was something that Disney was trying to protect, that IP, that license. They want that to be seen in the best light, because people are going to go out and buy it no matter what. When I saw this trailer, it was probably the best thing that best thing I've seen in Star Wars since Mandalorian, and better than any of the prequels that the prequels and the last 4 that they did. I just like the production value. I like what they were doing. Granted, it was all in-engine shots, so you don't know exactly what the game, but I think what we were seeing during the gameplay reveal, I think that stuff was all in game. But the one thing that was really cool to me is 90% of people that play this game will not be able to pull off the maneuvers that they were doing in that trailer. That was strange. And that's what excited me the most, because I see a skill gap in that game. I literally see, when I was watching them going through the armadas and going through the fleets and stuff, and the way they were turning on a dime and stuff like that, I was like, oh, there's a difference in how you play this game, because I like literally 90% of the people will not be able to play this game that way, and that's what gets me the most excited. So I saw that skill gap and I was like, oh yeah. And then they said, then I actually made a video on it. I was excited. No microtransactions.
Yes,
I couldn't believe it. I was like, it seemed so simple, but it was like so far from what we ever thought EA would do. And this is the second Star Wars game in a row that doesn't have it. So was it the fact that Disney went into them and said, hey, we like how you make our games, but you can't put our games in that light no more? Is that part of it? Is it the fact that
I'm sure Papa Disney gave them a strong
oh
call.
yeah. You want the slices, you won't do that again. So we're on a roll when it comes to Star Wars right now. We had the Mandalorian, we had Jedi Fallen Order, we got the Star Wars Squadrons. The only thing missing is that action adventure game that isn't Dark Souls style, but just more of a cinematic action, like how Last of Us or Uncharted is, something like that, where it's more like that Republic Commando type game.
So good.
I missed that game from Xbox, the original Xbox. I so missed that game. Squad based 4-player co-op. Anybody down for that? No, that's what I want from Star Wars.
Well, you know what's funny? They're remaking Pod Racer and a few of the other ones. It wouldn't surprise.
How are they remaking Pod Racer and we don't have no information about a new KOTOR?
And you know what? I don't know, but all I can tell you is that
BioWare is not BioWare.
BioWare is a shell of their former self.
BioWare is not BioWare. I will take a remake of it any moment, but no, man, I can't say more than what everybody else has been saying here. It's more of just piling on for the love of Star Wars at that point. But the trailer got me excited. It was the best thing I've seen in Star Wars in years, outside of the Mandalorian and Jedi Fallen Order. It just feels like it's making this comeback that a lot of people are asking for, and it comes out this holiday with the
October 2nd.
And this is, don't get it wrong, don't get it twisted. This is a game that will sell next generation systems. It will sell them, and on top of that, they need to do one thing. And I said this on BRAF last Wednesday when they talked about this. EA has they have one subscription service, but they have it on two different platforms. One is called EA Access, that's on console, and they have Origin Access, which is on PC. Yep. It is time for EA to bring Origin Access to console. Because
Thank you, preach.
The difference in the two is worlds apart. EA Access just gives you access to the game 7 days early with a trial up to 10 hours. But Origin Access gives you the entire game.
Take my $100, please.
I will. Even if they make it so you can't double dip on both, saying you can't have PC and Xbox, I will buy EA Access again just to have that on the system. So EA, get your head out of your butt. Bring that over to console, because these systems are basically PCs anyway. They'll be able to run the games just the same. Make money over fist. Stop trying to nickel and dime us and saying that we can't, do what we want to do with the money that we give you, and make it so if you buy it on one, you buy it on the other. But if you don't, at least bring that over to console.
No, great point. Real quick, Nightwolf 3186 says this after he drops a $2 super chat. Titan Drago spoke to my soul with that KOTOR comment. Like a lot of people, Cybernox.
I read your soul when I speak.
Cybernox, what are your thoughts not only on the potential of another back-to-back good Star Wars game, but the fact that EA has already got out in front of it and confirmed that there are 0 microtransactions now, and there will be none coming to the game, that it's not a live or service type title. It is there for you to play the single player, for you to team up with your friends 5v5 and go out and kick some Star Wars butt.
I think it's great. It's great for the fan base. I think they saw the success from Fallen Order, and if they give you a good game with none of the BS, none of the microtransaction thing, fans will support your game. And fans will love your game. So the trailer you sent us for Star Wars Squadrons is phenomenal, and I'm on the same boat as Forte. I'm not a big flight combat that's not my strength. I really play those games. But I'm with Forte. I love seeing what people do, like the different classes of players that there are, like in any type of game, like racing games. You can see when you have an experienced driver versus, somebody, let's say like me, it's just a casual that goes in there once in a while. I think this game captures the Star Wars universe perfectly, right? I think everyone growing up with Star Wars, the first thing you see is all the ships, and the fighting and the pretty much exactly the flight combat that we see here. So it's amazing, man. The trailer looked phenomenal. It got even I got excited for me to try this game. So yeah, I think EA has noticed that they got something here with the Star Wars franchise when it comes to delivering something good, and they just have to keep trusting their gut on this one, I guess, and just delivering us a good game with no microtransactions that the fans accept. And I think they have another good one in their hands.
Yeah, and obviously, I know there's some people in the chat that are like lies and more lies. And listen, folks, you know what? We all have a right to feel some type of way about EA. They are not the greatest of companies when it comes to giving back to their consumer, for sure. But the fact that they got out in front of this, but the fact that they've already confirmed that no microtransactions exist now and they won't exist ever, I got to take them at their word until they prove me wrong. And granted, I'm only paying $40 for the game. I'm buying it on the PlayStation 4 so I can play in PlayStation VR. And I'm not spending another dime. I'll play it. I'll beat both campaigns. I'll give online a shot. I'll play that for a little bit, but then I'm probably going to put it down and move on to something else. And so they won't get any more money out of me. But of course, let's go to Tempest Sun. Tempest, when you hear EA are already confirming not only that there is not this game is not going to be a live service game. This game is not going to contain any microtransactions. I mean, we also have to look. Motive is a smaller team making a smaller game. It's 5v5 for the online, and what they're talking about sounds interesting. Is this something you're going to get your hands on when it releases on October 2nd of this year?
Absolutely. I'm getting it. I'll keep my comments short about the game. But I will say one thing that struck me as amazing was the sense of scale. There was a shot where he went from the nose of the Star Destroyer and just went clear across it. And even though you could tell he had immense speed, it just went on for quite a while, dude. Like huge, these things. I think it's the first time I've actually felt like these things are massive, so it looks interesting. But what I will just say is I didn't think we'd be here, but look at the state of Star Wars as a whole. The movies right now are crapping the bed bad. We had a Star Wars movie.
The Mandalorian.
I know, dude. Tell me, dude, we actually had a Star Wars movie a couple years ago that lost them money.
Yes.
Like I never thought the day would ever come. The movie, I just saw the third one, the newest one, Rise of Skywalker. Not only was it just a terrible Star Wars movie, it was legitimately just a bad movie.
Awful.
It was just awful. Terrible. Couldn't believe what I was watching. It was like High School the Musical with lightsabers. It was awful, dude. So that's the movie franchise, but can we believe that we're in a place where the video games of Star Wars are what's lifting this franchise up right now? Love it or hate it, Battlefront 2, as much crap as it got, it is in a really good place now. They kept adding and adding and adding to it. They balanced it up pretty good. There's no more pay to win, any of that stuff. So that game currently, if you wanted to right now, you could boot it up, play it, and as long as you'll enjoy the gameplay, you'll have fun. It's in a really good state. So kudos to them for keeping that up. We just had a Tomb Raider / Souls / whatever game, and I didn't play it and beat it, so I can't really speak on it, but I played some of it, and it seemed really solid. It was some people's game of the year last year in the Fallen Order, and now we're having this. What this reminds me of is back in the day, we had the Starfighters, we had action games, side-scroller Jedi games. you name it, Republic Commando, which was a first-person shooter Halo-esque game. I even remember back in the day, back on was it PlayStation 1? I think 1. No, it might have been 2. I can't remember. Help me out. Did you remember Star Wars Demolition? It was a Twisted Metal clone in the Star Wars.
It was awesome, dude. I think it was PS1. I think it was
PS1. Yeah, it was a long time ago. But so back in the day, we just had like so many different types of Star Wars games, and I'll be honest with you. There's enough studios under EA's under EA that they could continuously just make Star Wars games. And finally, they're starting to use the franchise that they have, under their wing. Thank goodness. But no, it's starting to feel a little bit like the good old days. Now we just need a, third-person action Mandalorian game, and I'll take 2. I'll pre-order them right now.
No, absolutely. Well, you know what? Obviously, the Mandalorian is coming back in a big way. We're getting Boba. We're going to find out what happened with him after Jedi. He gets out of the Sarlacc pit. A lot of people from Rebels are going to be showing up there. This season's going to be amazing.
Huge.
And I got news for you with Dave Filoni and that crew that includes Jon Favreau and, of course, the Mr. Marvel himself and Kevin Feige. With some of the other directors that are going to be going from Marvel to Star Wars, like Waititi. Yeah, he's going to be directing his own film, and what's something Chow.
Leslie Chow. I think.
Yes, she's going to be. She obviously directed a couple of episodes in The Mandalorian. They have a lot of talent in the right places to make Star Wars great again. The last 2 films were absolutely garbage, complete garbage. What a shame. But Cotton, why don't you close out today's amazing 2-hour plus program and give us your thoughts on no microtransactions coming to EA's newest Star Wars game, coming off the heels of Jedi Fallen Order. Are you excited to play this game?
I'm stoked, man. I'm a huge Star Wars fan. From back to playing Demolitions on my Dreamcast, Jedi Power Battles. I was playing Pod Racer on my N64 like a couple weeks ago.
Nice.
I'm all about it, dude. I love it. As far as microtransactions, I think honestly, I know for sure Disney probably gave some reprimands to EA about the bad look they had with Battlefront, but I know that they also won't have a problem turning an eye to making another penny. So I think EA is really trying to right some wrongs with how, they got a lot of crap for the pay to win aspect of it. And they really did. They turned it around with Battlefront 2. The game is great now, and it's got more players.
Totally different game. It's a total
It's got more players than ever. With how much people got into the Clone Wars, it got bigger and bigger. I was surprised they shut down the live service for it, honestly, because it just kept growing. But this game is going to be great. I love flight sims. I used to play IL-2, Sturmovik. I don't know if you guys ever played that. It's like a Birds of Prey, World War II simulator game on the 360. Hawks. I love Hawks. Ace Combat. Back to Jedi Starfighter. I'm stoked. I think Tempest nailed it. The first-person view in the cockpit is going to really make the scale what it should be. Like, those ships and those asteroids, everything looked massive, dude. It looked great too. As far as VR, I don't have a PSVR. I have 2 Oculus Quests in my house, which is it brings me to think I know that Facebook owns Oculus, right? And now Microsoft has that new deal with Facebook Gaming. I'm praying and reaching that somehow in the next gen that they can make something work with VR for the Xbox, and maybe using those deals that they have, those partnerships they have to incorporate. That would be something amazing, because I want to experience it. I don't want to have to go buy a PSVR. If I have to, I have to. You know what I mean? I'm a sucker for Star Wars.
You're right about something there. I think because
I'm actually writing a story. We're going to talk about that in absolute depth this coming Thursday on the Xbox Factor podcast. There is something to this deal that goes beyond getting xCloud on Facebook, and I really think the Oculus Quest,
it would be amazing,
is going to make its way. Maybe not initially, maybe not.
Be a player though, yeah,
it could definitely be something.
It's what Phil wants. It's what Phil has been asking for VR. It's wireless. The Quest is amazing.
Yeah,
It is
I have nothing bad to say about the
absolutely
Quest,
an
man.
incredible piece of technology, and again, we're going to get into it in real depth on my, again, this is just my opinion on why I think that there's a little bit more to this story than just them teaming up to bring Mixer and xCloud to Facebook. I think there's more to it, and I'm going to break it down. But you know what?
Yeah.
Let me just close out with one more super chat. A very good friend of the show, Noom Sabat JP45, drops a very generous $5 super chat. But it's what he says that really makes me smile from ear to ear. He says, "Great show, guys. It's great to see the channel growing. More positive gaming vibes. Hit that like button, and thank you for not only being here, dude, but thank you for your generosity." So listen, I'll say this. We were well over 400 in the live chat today. That is a big deal. I'm always very grateful that we have this many people tune into this relatively new Monday evening program. I'm so glad that we were able to talk about everything that was on the list. And we also included the breaking news about Mixer closing down. I want to thank everybody that donated in the super chat. Once again, your generosity is not to be believed. So I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. And let's get into, of course, the panel that we're going to do the outros, and we'll start with, of course, Titan Drago. First of all, dude, welcome back to not only this program, but getting your voice on the, and to talk with the community. I've seen you were very active in the chat. We got to have you back on much sooner than much later. Thanks again for being here. Do me a favor, dude. Tell everyone where they can check out your YouTube channel, but more importantly, check you out on social media.
Yeah, pretty much. Twitter is what I'm breaking it down to right now, and even then I got a lock on my account because I know one of my students that I'm about to teach in the coming up year knows who I am, so I got to kind of lock my channel down because I don't want to kind of mix my
business with pleasure. Yeah,
exactly. So I got to kind of lock that down for now, but it's great to be back. Boom. Thank you for having me. My computer crashed and I'm finally able to get it back to it in a working form. And I'm slowly working my way back into the podcast scene. I'll be on Wilmy Hood show next month for the big July show. And you'll see more of me. And we definitely got to make this, like we talked in the chats. I'll let you know when I can do it. And during summer vacation, I'm pretty much, I got a lot more free time, right? So everyone, thanks for it's been an awesome welcome back, man. I've heard some awesome freaking really I don't know if you guys noticed, but the chats that say that touched my soul. I love stuff like that, that really fuels me to keep going and stuff and just come up with the craziest things I can think of. Anyways, thanks guys.
Yeah, you know what? Well, no problem. And thank you, of course, for being here. Tempest son had to jump out at the last minute. Obviously, his wife gave birth and the baby's only a couple of weeks old. And he is handling not only podcasting, but also family time. So we want to give Tempest son a big shout out for not only being able to make it, but be here and be as awesome as he always is. And Cybernox, let's get to your outros, my brother. First of all, thanks so much for getting here on time. Apparently, Alfred has been tipped heavily because you were here right before the show went live. And we know you are our resident Cape Crusader. Do me a favor, dude. Tell everyone where they can check out your growing YouTube channel, but also follow you on social media.
I appreciate that a lot, Boom. I always love being here on Monday. It's good to have, almost the whole panel here. Titans, good to hear your voice, man. Good to see you back. Cotton, always a pleasure, man. Got to come back more often too. It's great, man. Cybernox everywhere. Pretty simple. Make sure you guys hit follow everyone here. Chat. You guys are great, except for that one douchebag.
Well, one D bag. You get them. We get them every now.
What can you do? So,
can't stop them. They're always somewhere.
Yeah. I'm working on 2 videos right now. Digital Direct on Xbox. What they've been doing, they kind of sneak that in. Not a lot of people know about that. I actually ran a poll that it was very successful. Over 1,000 votes on my Twitter. So yeah, I'm mostly more active on Twitter, YouTube, Cybernox as well. So yeah, guys, it's been real. It's been fun. Can't wait for next Monday.
Well, listen, we look forward to having you back on the show, no doubt about it. Cotton, what's going on, my brother? First of all, thanks for making your another appearance on Primetime Gaming. You've almost become a regular on this particular evening program. Do me a favor, dude. Tell everyone where they can follow you on social media. And do you have anything else going on that you'd like to tell the people about?
Oh man, I wish I wasn't too busy. I could get my feet off the ground and start making a YouTube channel, making some actual content. But for right now, you can follow me on Twitter at CottonMcCast. And just want to say thanks. Thanks for having me on now. It's my third time on. You guys are always super welcoming. Shout out to Titan. You know, I used to listen to this podcast for a long time, and you were a familiar voice, so it's cool to talk with you. Game of Forte always brings the knowledge. Cybernox, you're my dude. Appreciate it, guys. I had a good time talking with you. And also happy belated Father's Day to all you guys out there, for sure.
Well, thank you so much for that, dude. That's very kind of you to say. And it's also great to have you a part of today's show. And we'll definitely be bringing you back very soon. And last and no way least, our resident community leader, someone that has a powerful voice, someone that is also awesome to listen to because his YouTube channel is, of course, exploding on the scene. And of course, I am talking about my brother, Gaming Forte. Hey, dude, listen, first of all, thanks for making the show. I know you literally left work to be here, and I want to thank you for taking the time. Do me a favor, dude. Tell everyone where they can listen to you on the 18 other shows that you're on. Also, check out your outstanding and exploding YouTube channel.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. It's always great. Titans, nice to see you finally again, man. I know it's been a while, but it's always great to have you around.
FNA Gaming.
Yes, sir. Tempest, Cyber, Cotton, man. Boom. It's always a great time being here. It's always one of the best shows of the week because it starts out the week and we get caught up on all the stuff that happened over the weekend. So it's always a great thing. Outside of that, it's Gaming Forte on YouTube and Twitter. It is it's going crazy over there, man. Just keep supporting the videos like you guys been doing. A lot of Xbox stuff coming up over the next couple of days and weeks. So don't miss out on that. Basement Radio Podcast every Wednesday, 9 p.m. That is with Enrique Slow-Mo, Backslap, E-Money, and Eric Jackson, always with the crew. Crossfire, 7 o'clock on Friday nights. And then the lovely Action Luca. And if she doesn't get her hair done, it's always going to be at 4 o'clock. So we actually have a time for Scumcast, guys. 4 o'clock EST. Let's see if it stays that way. And look, man, it's incredible, guys. You guys have been killing it, and I really, really, truly appreciate being a part of this group. Let's have fun and Xbox and PS4, Xbox Series X and PS5 pre-orders. Be on the lookout. That's all I'll say. Be on the lookout.
I'm ready.
I am ready to go. The money is in hand. Let's do this. And you know what? Like I said, folks, I'm sorry. Don't be jealous. I'm getting the call first. Sorry, that's the way.
Oh yeah. He go. Yeah, I got Boom on speed dial. He gets
all
first.
right. As long as you call me after you get the call, okay.
Throw it in the DM.
All right, gentlemen. Well, listen, thanks so much for everyone for being here. Of course, the chat. Thank you for hanging out, being awesome as always. This chat is probably not only one of the most welcomingest chats, but it is one that is filled with gamers just wanting to talk about games, even though our opinions may vary, and they usually do. Everyone keeps it 100, and I want to thank you for that. Also, I'll close out tonight's show with something I think is more important now than it's ever been, and something that my dad taught me. It made me a better police officer, and more importantly, it made me a better man. And I'll end it with this: treat others how you yourself want to be treated. And guess what, folks? It doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, and I can guarantee you, you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, and we'll see you on the next episode of Primetime Gaming with Mr. Boomstick and Friends.